Boom, baby. We are back in action. I got to make sure. I always forget to check my audio. And of course, it's the wrong one. It's always the wrong one that's selected. Just a rookie mistake, you know? Let me get the right one in. That way it sounds extra crispy for you guys. Give me 2 seconds. Crispy crisp. Boom. There we go. Okay. That's better. There it is. Awesome. If you guys can hear me, drop a 1 in the chat for me. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to Agency Therapy. We're rocking and rolling today, baby. Took a week off, did a little prep work. That way we were actually prepared this time around, and making sure that we bring you guys the best content possible on these live streams. So hopefully you guys enjoy today's content. We got a lot coming at you guys today, and I'm really excited to jump into it. Couple things, a couple quick reminders as you guys are watching the stream today. One, don't forget to like and subscribe real quick. That would help me a ton. That would help our team a ton. Trying to grow this channel a little bit. So if you get value from this content, it's really helpful when you guys like and subscribe to the channel, because we do a lot of stuff on this YouTube channel. We're going to continue to push more content out so you guys can grow your digital agencies and your other businesses. Okay. So like, subscribe to the channel. Also, you're going to notice a little QR code in the top left. If you guys are wanting to potentially come to an agency event this year, there's a great one going on in April 28th and 29th, Hydra Council. It's our event that we host. In my opinion, some of the cheaper tickets out there when it comes to attending an event. If you guys are interested in coming, check out those tickets. You can scan that QR code in the top left and you can get the deets on the whip, man. All right. Let's jump into it. We got a lot to cover today. A lot to cover in a little bit of time. If you guys have not gotten access to the Miro board yet, would highly recommend that you grab access to it. If you're watching on YouTube right now, the link to the YouTube channel or to the Miro board should be in the description. But if not, I'll drop it in chat for you. That way you guys can follow along and you can get the resources that we create specifically for this live stream and today's resources specifically. So dropped it in the chat for you guys. You guys can follow along on the Miro board, especially if you're on a computer right now. If you're on a Mac or a PC, you guys can follow along a little bit better. Okay. Sweet. Let's go. Oops, something went wrong. Try reloading the page. Uh-oh. I don't want to do that. Am I still live? I think I'm still live. I think we're good. Okay. I don't know why. It's the chat doesn't seem to be working for me. Let me try that one more time. Am I still on? Okay, cool. Cool. I can share that link again. Okay, there we go. Now the link posted. So if you guys need that link, it's in the chat now. Hopefully you guys can get access to that. You guys can follow along in the Miro board. Today we're chatting on pricing your agency services. And this is, one of the last pieces of the puzzle before you start actually selling the service itself. So if you guys have missed the previous streams, we've had about 7 previous ones that have led up to pricing your agency services, then I would highly recommend going back. And I say this at every stream, go back, watch the other streams, because they're going to be beneficial to the foundations of building your digital agency, whether you're at $0 and you're building towards your first couple $1,000 months, or if you're growing and scaling past 30, 40K into the 100K mark, even if you're doing more than 100K per month, this stuff is foundational still, and it will help you add more profit. It will help you stack more revenue into your business. So go back and watch those. They're super helpful. They're all in the live channels. And then we're also breaking them down into individual YouTube videos that will break into, say, 20-minute type videos. So a lot more content coming, mixing it up a little bit. But today we're talking on pricing your agency services. So let me do a little share screen as always, and you guys can follow along. If you're just joining in with us, welcome. Super glad that you guys are here. We are talking on pricing agency services today, and the Miro board link is in the chat if you guys need it. So grab that, follow along with me. You can download these resources. We make them 100% free for you guys. That way you can start growing and scaling your agency. All right, so let's go ahead and hop in. Hopefully you guys can see my screen okay. If you guys, once again, missed the previous agency therapies, This is what you've been missing out on. All this free game that we've been dropping inside of this mural board for you guys, all the free resources, literally the playbook on getting your agency to 100K per month if you just follow these steps. Follow these steps and you guys will start winning within your agency. So if you're struggling right now, go back, rewatch this stuff. It's beneficial, it's foundational. But this is what we're chatting about today: pricing your agency services, baby. Okay, so if you guys are following along in this Miro board, this is where we're starting today. And so, what agency pricing model is best? And guys, this is what all like every single guru in the agency space teaches right here. What's the best agency pricing model? And you hear a bunch of different opinions on this, and I'll give my opinions, of course. And at the end of the day, picking the right pricing model is actually really important for you guys to generate revenue and how profitable your service actually is, how you'll structure client relationships, and how your team works on client projects as well. Who the heck is Joe the Pirate? Get out of here with this nonsense, Joe. Want to offer me promotion? I've got all the viewers I need right here. Get it out of here. You're blocked. All right. So, you guys, what's the best pricing model? And if you go on YouTube, you guys, like, I'm not going to lie, this stuff you can find it all over YouTube. There's a lot of people that have done this, all of the agency gurus, but you have to stay till the end today because the most important pieces are at the very end. And this is the stuff that all the other YouTube videos don't cover is actually pricing your service and how to do it, right? Everyone tells you what pricing model to roll with, but they never show you how to actually price your service. So let's talk about the most common pricing structures. First, we're going to start with the bad all the way to the good and then to the best pricing models that you could possibly run within your agency currently. And let me show you this, guys. Okay. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is hourly pricing. This pricing model just isn't recommended. Okay. This is just something that we're not a big fan of when it comes to pricing an agency service. So if you guys aren't familiar with hourly pricing, it's pretty straightforward where you can charge the clients based on the number of hours you actually spent on the project. So a lot of times when you do when you hire out freelancers, this is the model that they go with. You pay them for a certain amount of hours that they work, right? And it's not it's an easy model to implement and understand, but making it suitable for like a lot of the smaller projects. So if you're running small projects, if you're just getting your feet wet in this industry, it's not bad to run it this way, but it kind of opens you up to unwanted and unneeded scrutiny on things like timesheets. Clients are always checking in, like, "Hey, can you send me your timesheet?" When you guys could provide a really great service in a short amount of time that brings a ton of value to the client, and it's not really dictated on time, right? And so we don't want clients arguing with us about how long something takes because they don't know the ins and outs of what executing the work actually takes, right? And if we could do it at a high level, we should get paid at a high level for doing it. And so, when is the best time to use this? Well, the best time to use this is, once again, it's suitable for small projects, short-term projects, and when the scope is uncertain, and adjustments may need to happen throughout that project. So, you can use this. It's not my favorite one by any means. It's the least, uh, the one that works the least, in my opinion. It's the least scalable. But the pros, it's easy to implement and track. You get some transparent pricing for clients, and then agencies are compensated for all your hours of work. So if the scope takes a little bit longer than expected, well, you'll get compensated for that, right? The cons of this is it can lead to some inefficiencies as the focus is on time rather than the results, right? So people might stretch out the amount of time it takes to work on a project. And, for you, like you want to get projects done as efficiently as possible. You don't want to drag out projects because chances are you'll make less money dragging projects out. So we want to make sure that we're efficient in delivering those results. It's difficult to accurately estimate project costs up front. And then it may incentivize your staff as you continue to grow as an agency to work slower, causing projects to drag on. And that's essentially what we don't want. Okay. So hourly pricing, not our favorite. It's definitely not the pricing structure that we would recommend implementing, but it is a pricing structure. Okay. So let's move to our next one. This is what we consider like a good project or a good pricing structure is project based pricing. It's not the worst, but it's still not the best. Okay. So project based pricing involves charging a fixed fee for a specific project or campaign. You're estimating the cost based on the project scope, complexity, and anticipated resources and personnel required. Okay. And the best time to kind of use this one is when project-based pricing works best is for projects with a clearly defined scope. So if you have a clearly defined scope, this will actually work pretty good. And the deliverables like websites, for example, are honestly a really solid one for project-based pricing. We know a lot of people that do it for websites. It's ideal for agencies with a good track record of accurately estimating their project costs and timeline. So if you have a hard time knowing how much your project costs, or you don't know how much your project costs, then chances are project-based pricing usually isn't the best for you. Okay. Now, some of the pros of this is easy for clients to understand the budget of what it's actually going to cost to carry out a project. So that's why it works well for an example websites. Encourages efficiency and focus on results and completing the project. So it does drive your team to be more efficient to get the project completed faster because it'll cost you less to deliver that project. And then provides incentive for agencies to complete projects on time within budget, as they won't be compensated for spending additional time on the project. And then this must be built in upfront, right? And then from there, some of the cons of this specific pricing model. One, it can lead to underestimating projects. We see this quite a bit, and we enjoy some flexibility with our project cost, but at the same time, it can put you in the red on a project, so it might not be profitable. Limited flexibility for scope changes without renegotiation. So this is one that we see often, especially with people that are doing like website design and development, is that they'll price a project and then they'll get some either scope creep, or maybe they'll add on another part to the project, and then you have to go back to the renegotiation table like, hey, that was outside the scope, we weren't, this is going to take us an extra 2 to 3 days to deliver on, and you have to renegotiate that contract. And it may result in overworked staff and no profit at the project level if the project costs are underestimated. So you want to make sure, if you are doing project based pricing, that you have your correct estimates in alignment. Okay. So just remember that. Once again, not the worst way to price projects, but definitely not the best and not my favorite as well. Okay. So let's get into the good and the best type of pricing. Okay. And this is one that you're all probably familiar with, and a lot of you probably run with, is retainer pricing. And we did this a lot within our agency. In my opinion, this is one of the best pricing models that you can currently run. If you're not familiar, retainer pricing involves charging clients a recurring fee, typically monthly, for ongoing services. So this is very popular in like things like content creation, media buying, any type of service that an agency runs. Normally, it's not a project, and it's going to be an ongoing fee that happens monthly. And what's nice is that it's very predictable, right? We'll talk about the pros and cons in a second. This model is extremely common. Once again, provides agencies with stable income, and that's the key. That's why we like retainers, is that it's stable income, it's predictable, and encourages long-term relationships with clients, which is really ideal. And when to use this, retainer pricing is normally ideal for agencies offering ongoing services such as social media management or SEO. It's also appropriate when clients require a dedicated team or ongoing support. So if you have like a pod structure, or you're running, multiple people are running multiple services, retainers are really good for that as well. Okay, so some of the pros: provides predictable recurring revenue within your agency. It encourages long-term client relationships and longer agreements, which is really nice. It's going to create more predictability within your agency, which is going to allow you to bring on more staff, be able to bring on more operating expenses because you can predict out your cash flow, and allows for better resource allocation and capacity planning. Some of the cons might be harder to acquire new clients due to commitment that's required for the retainer pricing. Okay, that's something that we see a lot of times is people don't like to commit to long-term agreements sometimes. Can lead to some complacency if not monitored closely. So after you get a few months into the agreement with someone, sometimes the team gets complacent, or we tend to look at the new deals coming in and we forget about the people that are currently paying our bills. And then risk of over servicing or under servicing specific clients. So we want to make sure, that we're servicing all of our clients equally. But sometimes what happens with the retainer pricing is that we overserve a certain client because they have higher needs. They might be a little bit more nitpicky on the service, and so we overserve them, and we might underserve other clients because of that. Okay, and we got two more pricing structures. We're almost there. Okay, and in my opinion, these are are equally as valuable. I don't think one outweighs the other one, which is performance. Okay, so performance based fees are actually really great. And for those that don't know about performance based pricing, basically this ties agency fees to the result achieved, right? Such as increased sales, leads, website traffic, whatever it is, whatever they're looking for as the result of their service. This model is going to align with the incentives of the client. Okay. So whatever the client wants out of the service, you're going to be aligned with that incentive and can lead to higher client satisfaction and retention because you guys have the same goal in mind. The one thing here, however, we may struggle to overcome our internal personnel and overhead if we're unable to perform. So if the performance isn't there, this is definitely not the model for you. If you're still working on creating a great service and being able to fulfill for your clients at a high level, performance usually is not the recommended route to go because you're not going to make much money or you're going to lose money, which is not the ideal scenario. Okay. So we need to be cautious and vet clients diligently if we're going to go with performance to ensure that their business is set up to succeed with your services. If they're a bad client, performance is not the way to go. We've all signed bad clients before. If you're going to sign a bad client, put them on a retainer, okay, because you're probably not going to succeed with performance. Okay, when's a great time to use this? Well, it's really suitable for agencies with a proven track record of delivering results and the ability to measure and attribute outcomes accurately. So if you feel really confident in your ability to deliver, this is a great way to go is performance. Okay, it's important to have a backup plan in place to cover staff salaries and overhead costs in case performance targets aren't specifically met. And we'll talk about performance plus retainer here in just a second, but usually is the happy medium between the two. And that's what I would normally recommend. If you're going to do performance, I would do a mixture. But some of the pros of just performance, one, you guys are aligning your agency incentives with the client goals themselves. Can lead to higher client satisfaction and it encourages focus on results and innovation versus just getting the work done, right? So if you guys innovate and if you guys provide better results, then obviously you're going to get paid more for doing a better job. Some of the cons can be challenging to measure and attribute results accurately. This is something that we've seen, especially with iOS 14 recently. It's hard to attribute success back to the clients themselves. So that can be a really challenging piece of running performance only is that, clients might say, oh, like, we actually weren't profitable this month. And, on the ad side, what you guys are showing on, the platforms is like, oh, like we were really profitable. Like our ROAS was at this, right? And so we see this quite often with performance, and sometimes it's hard to attribute those results. You also have risk of not covering staff salaries and overhead costs if performance targets aren't met, which puts you in an unprofitable position, which is not ideal. So just know that that's a risk of running performance only within your agency. And then unfortunately, as your performance grows and the amount of client is paying you each month grows, you often run into them auditing your check size, causing them to either take it in house or hiring someone else at a fixed fee. We see this a lot of times, especially with teams that are very good at what they do. That performance pay continues to go up, and then all of a sudden they're like, why are we paying this agency so much? We could literally build this in house. We could hire another agency for a fraction of the cost. And they start second guessing even the success, even if you've delivered them a ton of success and you guys are crushing it, and the math still checks out on your performance fee. In the back of their mind, they're still thinking, shoot, we could get this cheaper and we could bring in more profit every month if we had a cheaper agency. How hard could it actually be to run this? Because you guys might make it look easy. And then they go to a different agency and they can't perform, right? Which happens quite often. So, with that being said, just know that that is, as you continue to win for your clients, that's something that can happen. They could drop you because they are paying you too much. Last one here, okay? Performance plus retainer. And this one is one of my favorites. We did this in our agency quite a bit. Performance plus retainer. What's great about performance plus retainer is that you're getting a little bit of both. And this way, we can negotiate a lower or reasonable retainer that produces minimal profit and supports our overhead. That's what I love about this model is that it's going to support our overhead no matter what. So, worst case scenario, if we don't perform, we're at least going to break even or maybe bring in just a little bit of profit. And so it'll give us that consistent revenue that we need to either scale out the team or to help us break even while we're trying to get performance where it needs to be. And so with that as well, you're also taking, upside in the efforts as well. Okay. Great times to use retainer plus performance. Uh, Pricing is basically when you have a proven track record of delivering results, like performance, and the ability to measure and attribute outcomes accurately. And then, ideally, if the client would be a fit for this opportunity, you're leading with this offer every time. Okay, so normally you're going to lead with this, even if you have other offers built in, so like just retainers or performance, right? This is like, in my opinion, the most ideal pricing structure that you can do. It works for some services, and then it doesn't work for other services. So just know it doesn't work for everything. Like, it works really great for things that can be attributed to profit. If you're running like organic social media, um, it's really hard to run like performance on, on organic, because it's really hard to attribute back to like true dollars back into the business, right? So just know this works for some things. You have to be able to attribute the success of your effort to top line revenue growth for that business, to bringing more profit to that business. Okay. Now let's talk about some pros and cons of this real quick, and then we'll move on to actually how we're going to price, which is why you guys are here today, how to actually price your services. And what no one else really teaches, right, is how to actually price. Like, you guys have heard these pricing models before. I wanted to, of course, cover them as a nice to have. And so you guys have options as you go to price your services, but everyone covers this stuff. You can find 1,000 YouTube videos, all the gurus out there talk about this, but none of them actually show you how to actually set up your pricing that's profitable. So I'll show you guys that in just a second. But the pros of this, real quick, aligns agency incentives goals just like regular performance does, and it covers your internal costs, which is the kicker there. It's really nice to cover your internal costs and then also get upside in the deal. Can lead to higher client satisfaction and operates more like a partnership, which is really nice. So it acts as a partnership between you and the client versus they're just a client and you guys are like a vendor. Okay. And then it encourages focus on the results and innovation. Once again, it aligns the team with client wins. Individual incentives are can also be tied to certain clients. So if your media buyer achieves a certain CPA at some sort of scale, then awesome. We can incentivize and bonus out that media buyer to win, right? And to get paid more. So the team is more incentivized on winning. Some of the cons, once again, anytime that we're measuring performance, it can be challenging to measure and attribute results accurately, and can be more difficult to sell in depending on the size of the business. Okay, anytime that you're running performance, and you're coming in, it is a little bit tougher to sell, especially if it's a more established business. So hopefully that makes sense. If that's making sense, drop some fire emojis in the chat, like Bo Jackson, baby. What up, Bo? I think Bo's actually in the other room for me right now. Yup. All right. Love it. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are crushing it. Stuff that you guys have probably all seen before right here. The most common pricing structures. I hope that makes sense. If not, may the Lord be with you. Okay. Now, what are the other gurus not teaching? How to price our services for profit. Okay. And I got the famous Kirchner quote here. The famous Kirchner quote here. The Kirch, we don't hope for profit, we create it. And that's what we're going to do specifically for your agencies. We're going to create profit with the appropriate pricing structure that will make sure you guys are making money on every single deal that you run. Okay. So I want to show you guys this. It's going to take a second. Look at this. Look at all this stuff we got to go through still. Holy insane. Okay. But we got to do it. We got Christian Pepper, Dr. Pepper in the building. Christian Pepper, what up, dude? Coming in from LinkedIn. You love to see it. We got Tyler Lee with the fire emoji saying Kirchmeister, the Kirchster. Let's go. I love it. All right. So, just as a caveat here, just know like I meet a lot of agency owners, and I think it's always good to put things in perspective for you guys. Most small agencies are very profitable, right? But if you take all the agencies, even the best agencies, as they scale, the profit margins tend to drop a little bit. So just know, I want you guys to know like the average agency net profit margin is roughly around the 12% mark, right? Anywhere from like 6 to 15% net margins is what we're normally seeing with agencies. Now, smaller agencies run more profitable, they run more lean, but as they scale, if you're getting into like the really big numbers, these profit margins do drop quite a bit. So across all agencies, net profit margins are normally around 12%. So I hope that makes you feel great about where you're at, because most agencies that I know of, especially Ones that are below the $1 million run rate run at a higher net margin than 12%. Okay. But creating profit starts at the project level. So, what do we talk about up here? Right? Hourly pricing, project based pricing, how it's bad. Well, it's bad to a certain degree. Okay. But we also need to know it. So we need to actually know what our project-based pricing would be and what our hourly pricing would be if we were to actually run our service that way. It's not how we're going to run it. It's not how we're going to price it out, and it's not how we're going to charge our clients, but we're actually going to start there. And we're actually going to figure out what our hourly and project-based pricing is in order for us to charge solid retainers that are profitable, solid performance fees that are profitable. Okay. So just keep that in the back of your mind as we're going through this today. Okay. And, for us, without healthy gross margins, it's going to become really hard for us to have healthy net margins. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay. Formulas you should know as an agency owner. So these are really key formulas that we teach inside of our program. It's really important to know this, that your project gross margin equals your agency gross income minus your direct labor costs divided by your agency gross income. Okay. Now you're like, Josh, holy shit. Like, what did you just say, dude? I have no idea what that means. We'll break it down. Okay. It's gonna make sense by the time we're done. So stay with me for a second. Don't go anywhere because this stuff is foundational information. I know finance is not super sexy and fun, but I promise this will make sense by the time we're done. So the key word here that we're looking at is agency gross income, or AGI for short. So to get our project gross margin, once again, we have to know our agency gross income minus our direct labor costs divided by, once again, our agency gross income. So agency gross income equals gross revenue minus our COGS, or cost of goods, aka our pass-through expenses through our agency. Okay. And so basically all you need to know at this point is that our AGI, or agency gross income, are the real dollars we have left over for us to pay salaries, to cover overhead. So we need to calculate gross margin off of this instead of gross revenue, right? Because we have some other expenses that happen before we get to things like salaries and overhead. When it comes to agency margins, gross revenue is simply just a vanity metric. It's not something that we really even pay too much attention to because we need to know what's left over at the end of the day. Okay, so that's the first thing we need to understand. Okay, so remember this formula here: agency gross income equals gross revenue minus cost of goods, aka our pass-through expenses. That's the most important thing to understand right here. Okay, makes sense so far? Cool. Sweet. All right. So, what does that look like in practice exactly? Okay, let's give you guys an example so this makes a little bit more sense. What are pass-through expenses? So, if we go back to the formula, right? Our gross revenue minus cost of goods are pass-through expenses. Well, pass-through expenses include things like stock image and video assets, ad spend, if you run them through your books. We see this with a lot of lead gen agencies, freelancers. So we don't pay when they don't work. So if you guys have freelancers, those people tend to get paid out first. Things like website templates, production equipment rentals, travel costs, talent, if you run a production company, locations, all things that we have to pay for before we pay anything else. Okay. So for an example here, so say your retainer was $12,000 per month. Okay, pretty solid retainer there. You have $2,000 in freelancer costs, and then you have talent and locations. It's $1,000. Your AGI, your agency gross income, comes out to $9,000 per month. Now we haven't factored in labor, so we can't find out our gross profit quite yet. Okay. But we got to our AGI, which was the whole idea behind this. We needed to figure out what our agency gross income was now from our gross revenue. Okay. And let's just say for the sake of this, we have one client and they pay us 12K per month, 2K in freelancers, and then $1,000 in talent locations. That means our agency gross income is $9,000. We still have to factor in labor and some other costs, but that's pretty much where we're at for now. Okay. And then we'll find out our gross profit. Does that make sense so far? Give me some love in the chat if it's making some sense right now. Okay. Just got to make sure you guys are in alignment with this, because if it doesn't make sense, I mean, I might as well shut off the stream and you guys can just figure this out. I'm just kidding. Wouldn't do that. Okay. Let's keep moving. Keep moving. Now we find labor costs per hour per employee, because we have to figure out our labor costs. That's how we're going to get to our gross, right? Our gross profit. So creative strategists we're going to say that this is going to be our single employee for now. We have a creative strategist. We pay them an annual salary of $62,500. We have payroll taxes. Don't forget those taxes. That's going to affect your guys' bottom line. Okay, so payroll taxes, got to pay those. We have benefits as well, insurance. So the total of the other expenses that factor into this are $14,900. People tend to not factor this in, and it's very expensive to have employees, right? You have other things outside of their salary that you have to account for, right? And so their total cost as an employee, all in, is $77,400. $77,400. Okay, to have this employee. So factors to consider here as you're finding your labor costs per hour per employee is salary, benefits, payroll taxes, insurance, training and development, perks and equipment, any expense that's directly related to the employed individual. Okay, so figure this out. Okay, and I got a little surprise for you at the end of the stream, so that you guys can figure this out a little bit easier. Okay, from there we have to figure out our gross working capacity per full-time employee. So check this out. We just figured out what our labor cost was for this specific employee. Now we have to figure out what their gross working capacity is for a full-time employee. Well, we have 40 hours per week and we have 52 weeks in a year. So we have 2,080 hours possible hours that they could possibly work. Now, we go off gross capacity here because there's a lot of little factors in between that we have to account for. Every agency will have different holidays off, PTO policies, sick days, so on and so forth. Okay, there's going to be some missed days, but we're going to work off gross capacity. We're not going to be working off, what everyone else's capacity might be. Okay, and once we figure this out, so 2,080 hours, we can now find our cost of labor per hour, which is the whole goal behind this, is figuring out the cost of labor per hour. So our fully loaded employee cost, as a reminder from over here, for our creative strategist was $77,400. $77,400. And our total possible working capacity is $2,080. So if we put this into an equation, we divide this out, it's going to come out to $37.21 per hour for our entire year. Okay. And then this is the cost you bear to staff the employee, regardless of them doing client work or not. Doesn't matter. If they're taking a sick day, guess what? You're still paying them $37.21 per hour. Okay. So no matter if they're working on client work or not, you're still paying them this money. So gross capacity per full-time employee. All right, this is all going to start coming together here in just a second, but hopefully that's making sense. If you guys have questions as I'm going along here, just drop them in the chat and I'll make sure that I answer them for you. Okay. So I'm sure you're asking by now is, where the heck is the profit? Where are we pulling profit out of this? It seems expensive so far. Why do I even run an agency? I'm not even making any money. Okay. Well, we got to create margin. Remember our quote up here from Mr. Nicholas Kirchner? We don't hope for profit, we create it. And right now, most agencies hope for profit and they don't create it within their retainers or within their performance pay. So we have to create this margin somewhere, and that's what we're going to do with a little thing called market rate multipliers. Bow, bow, bow. That sounds pretty incredible, doesn't it, Tyler? Feels good. He's got his headphones in. He's about to look at me in a couple seconds here, though. Maybe not. He just yawned. He's bored over there. All right. So this is where we create margin and largely determine the profitability of each employee hour worked in the project as a whole. Ideally, we mark this up 3 to 5 times. 3 to 5x is what the goal is. Now, you can do more. If you're a gangster, if you guys are crushing it, go for 7x. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Charge what you're worth. And we can increase this multiplier as the value of our service grows and the results we produce improve in benchmark it against our value. So the equation we have to know for this is cost of labor for the position, which is $37.21 per hour. The rate multiplier, which for this example, we'll go right in the middle. We'll say 4. Okay. So 4 times is going to be our market rate multiplier, equals $149 per hour. That's the amount that is going to be billed to the client. Okay. So cost of labor for the position, we're going to plug in our rate multiplier minus our cost of labor. And then from there, that's going to equal our gross profit per billable hour worked. Right. So if we're looking for the gross profit here, we got to subtract what it's going to cost us. So our gross profit per hour is $111.19. Ooh, that sounds good. Well, I wonder how much that actually is in percent margin. Okay. Well, if we divide $111.19 by $146, we're going to come out with 0.75, and we multiply that by 100 to get our percentage. It's going to be about a 75% margin, which is great. It's excellent. We love that. And for clarity here, because I know some people are going to take this out of context, we are not billing by the hour. We are just figuring out how much it costs us to run per hour per employee. And we're figuring out what we should charge our client technically per hour. We're billing according to value-based fixed monthly retainer project cost, and we're going to essentially use our hour to verify profitability, right? We're going to use our hourly rate to verify profitability. Okay. So this is checks and balances. This is going to help us verify if we're a profitable agency or not. These are important numbers to know specifically for your agency. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense so far. We're about to wrap it up here. Okay. We're going to bring it full circle. So estimating billable hours. Okay. So now we know how much it's going to cost us to run this project. We know how much profit we're going to generate from this project. Well, we have to start estimating billable hours. So what are billable hours exactly? Well, billable hours are performing actual work towards completing a client project. Okay? Things like project planning, developing project timelines, research, attending meetings related to the project, reading and responding to work emails, revising work submitted to the client, right? Maybe you run a production studio, the actual production, the post-production, the revisions, all of that, right? Those are billable hours. We're working directly on the client project. That's a billable hour. That's creating money for us because it's delivering the result for the client, right? It's a revenue generating item. Now, what are non-billable hours? Well, these are things like internal team meetings that aren't directly related to the project, trainings that aren't directly related to the project, internal projects that you guys have, networking, attending conferences, all things that are non-billable hours, right? And we tend to underestimate how long a client project takes us, which leads us to underpricing. But we're about to fix that with some time tracking, okay? Now, if you're not doing time tracking, what the heck are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. A lot of people don't do time tracking, which is totally fine. But if you guys really want to get to a place where you are creating predictable profit, predictable revenue within your business, you guys should be doing some sort of time tracking every once in a while with your agency. Our recommendation, use the Harvest app. You can integrate it directly into ClickUp. It works really solid. And then you can find out on specific projects that your team is running how billable they actually are. We could track the billable hours when they're working on client projects versus when they're not working on client projects. It's a great exercise to do. And this is not a big brother exercise where like, okay, like how much are you actually working on stuff? That's not the point of this. The point of this is to track profitability back to the projects that we have running within our agency. If we could figure that out, then we could price accordingly and make sure that all of our clients are actually running profitably, because what you'll find out through this exercise is that certain clients are really profitable within your agencies. And then some of the agencies or some of the clients that you guys have within your agency are not profitable at all. They're actually making you lose money because you're spending too much time on them, or they're micromanaging you too much and you're having to make all these adjustments, and they're not a profitable project or a profitable client. So time tracking becomes really important within this method. Okay. And that's how we figure out our billable hours. And ideally, roughly around 80% of our team's time, if they are client facing teammates, should be billable hours. And then 15 to 20% should be, internal meetings, things that aren't directly related back to the client. But 80 to 85% of our team's time should be correlated back to things that are billable. Now, what's really great about this is it also teaches you about capacity of the team. As you start to creep towards that 85% capacity, you know that your team is capped out and that you probably need to make another hire. So this is another great benefit of doing time tracking within your agencies. One, you're going to figure out what projects are profitable, what clients are profitable, but you're also going to know when the appropriate times to expand the agency are, because when you start looking at billable capacity rates, you're going to say, hey, this team or this pod is at 85% capacity. They're going to need some help. They can't take more clients. So we start hiring. Okay. So hopefully that's making sense. Time tracking, super important. And then from there, we got to just figure out who's involved on each project. Okay. Who's involved internally? We have sales teams, we have fulfillment, account management, admins, media buyers. You are you still involved in the fulfillment, which is totally fine. Okay. But we have to figure out who's involved internally. And then we need to put them into the actual billable project. Who's involved externally? Okay. Once again, we have cost of goods that are outside of this, right? Coming back to our freelancers. It's the perfect example. Our pass-through expenses. Okay. Are you not tracking those? Are you tracking those? Are we using outsourced agencies as a white label? Who's involved externally? And what other costs are we incurring? What other pass-through expenses? Do we have talent, locations, equipment rentals, travel, ad spend, stock assets? What other costs are we incurring through these projects? It's going to affect your profit margins, and we should be tracking those. And how long have similar projects taken us in the past, right? So now we go back into the estimating side of things, and we have to figure out how long has a project like this taken us before, right? That's where time tracking comes in, understanding our billable hours comes in, so we can appropriately charge our clients something that's going to be profitable for us and also fair for them. Okay? You guys vibing with that? Is that making sense so far? Let me know in the chat. I need some more activity today, man. You guys are quiet today. I need some hype music or something. All right. So let's talk about an example project and we'll wrap it up. We'll open it up for Q&A. What does an example project look like here? Well, we have our employees here on the left-hand side. Okay, we got an editor, we got a videographer, creative director, media buyer, account manager. Okay. Now, here is their cost per hour, direct labor cost per hour, $30.05. So remember, we figured this stuff out up here. Where was it? Over here, right? Okay. We found that labor cost. We found their working capacity per full-time employee, right? So we have all of these employees figured out now. And we know that an account manager, $48.08, creative director, $72.12. And then we figure out how many hours they're specifically putting into a project per month. Okay. So maybe it's 15 or per month. Okay. So maybe they're putting 15 hours into a client project, 15 hours here from the videographer, 5 from the creative director, 10 hours from the media buyer, and 3 hours from the account manager. And then we'll figure out what our labor costs are. Okay. And we can total them up there. So labor costs for this specific project is $1,700, $1,796.88. We're going to add a multiplier on this of a 4x. Okay, 4x multiplier. Looking good from Facebook. I don't know who's on Facebook, but you love to see it. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so the multiplier we're going to be jumping in there is 4. Okay, so 4x multiplier. And so what we're going to charge the client, the fee that we're going to charge the client, and remember, this is not the actual fee we're going to charge, but it should be roughly the retainer pricing, or should come out to the performance pay that you're looking for. Comes out to $7,187.50. This is what you should be charging for a project that takes this long, right? Now we can get a nice round number in there and we can, maybe increase this to $7,500. Everyone loves a nice $7,500 retainer. Okay. And that might be the retainer that we go with based off of projects that we ran in the past. So kind of reverse engineering this. Projects that we've run in the past that are very similar, the costs that we know that will incur, who's involved from freelancers and agencies, who's involved internally, sales, fulfillment, account management, admins, you. Because we know how much time it actually takes them, and we plug that in down here, and we know how billable our team actually is. Boom, baby. Just like that. We can figure out how much we should charge specifically for projects, and we built in and we created profit within our project. Yes, feels good. We know this is going to be profitable because the math checks out and the data checks out, and we know exactly what this project costs us to run. Isn't that dope? That gets me excited. Dope. All right. So I know what you're thinking, Josh. Oh my gosh, that's so much work. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to track, but we made it easy for you. And if you're on this live stream, guess what? We're only giving this calculator to you. So if you missed this live stream, damn, that sucks. Cash flow architects. What up, dude? Love to see it in the building. Love to see it. All right. What did you say here? Naive question. I might have used where do you get the multiplier of 4? So the multiplier is from up here. Okay. So this is what we call a market rate multiplier. So ideally, we mark up our projects 3 to 5x on the projects. Okay. There's no really science to it outside of the fact that you're creating margin for your business. So this, once again, this specific market rate multiplier can increase the more profit you produce, the better your service is, the better results that you produce for your client. You can bring this market rate multiplier up, and we've seen them go up as high as 7x, specifically for an agency team. So this is ideal. This is what's going to create margin. So this is where we're creating margin from, is a 3 to 5x multiplier on what it costs us to actually run this project. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Cool. So let's keep plugging away here. So Josh, that seems like a ton of work. Yes, I know. It is a decent amount of work. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you guys had to put work into this, but we made a calculator. And if you're here on this live stream, we're going to give this calculator to you 100% for free. You just have to jump in the Miro board, which here, I can drop the link once again. You guys can come check it out. Come check it out. Oh, okay. You guys can download this calculator, click this little link up here, and you can make a copy of it and you can grab it specifically for your agency. But I want to show you this calculator. Whew, feels so good. All right. Can I zoom in on this? Yeah. All right. So let's look at this for a quick second here. Anything in yellow or this orangish color, whatever color this is, I don't even know, you can change for your agency. Okay. You can drop the employee names in here of the specific employees that you have and the projected hours that you have for a specific project. Over here, you have locations. So if you guys have locations, so remember those pass-through expenses we talked about, talent, locations, makeup, props, ad spend, camera equipment rentals, and you can expand that more if you want to, if you're kind of a whiz at Excel. But you could drop those in there and we can account for those. Okay. We can also create a margin of safety here. Other circumstances, we talk a little bit about margin of safety. If you want to add a little bit extra buffer for error on the project, whether it's going to take you a little bit longer, those pass-through expenses. Guess what, guys? You also mark up your pass-through expenses. Don't forget that. Okay. Mark up your pass-through expenses. It's super important. If you guys are booking models, that takes you time, right? If you're booking talent, that takes you time. So whatever it's costing you to book a model, you're marking that up at least 25% at a minimum. We used to do 30%, and it was great. Creates more margin, okay? More profit. We love to see it. And then don't forget about your sales commissions. Got to pay your salespeople too. So make sure you put that in there as well. And then put your market rate multiplier in there. And then check this out. You build out your roster down below here in their fully loaded salary. So guys, remember, fully loaded includes everything from their insurance, their benefits, any trainings that you might have them do. Oh, shoot. Kirch in the building, the Kirchmeister. Kirch, we were glowing you up just a second ago. Make sure that you guys have the fully loaded salary cost in here, not just their salary. Really important. And then from there, if you have freelancers that come in, you can plug in their hourly rate. And then specifically, I don't know what the second freelancer thing is. Kirch, tell me what this is. I don't know. Anyway, yo, the man, the myth, the legend. Okay, so there's a calculator here for you guys. Don't change anything in the white. These are all formulas. Okay, as you plug in their fully loaded salaries, it will calculate their market rate and their hourly direct labor costs. Okay, and it's gonna punch some numbers in for you guys, and it's gonna make it way easier to calculate this. Oh my gosh, Kirchner, thanks for making this, man. Kirchner made this calculator. But hey, here's the thing, guys. if you're on this live stream, this is the only time that you're getting access to this. Okay. People pay for this, this calculator. And so as a reward for coming to the live stream, this is the only time it's going to be available. Tomorrow, morning, I don't know, whenever I feel like it, I'm going to pull the calculator off of this. Now, if you guys want the calculator and you're listening to this replay, here's what you got to do. You got to message me. You said, you got to say, Josh, man, I messed up. I missed agency therapy. I'm so sorry. I'll never miss agency therapy again, man. Um, can I have the calculator, please? And we'll get it over to you. Okay. I won't keep it from me, but you got to message me and you got to say, hey, man, I messed up. I missed agency therapy, and I'll get you this calculator. So you guys know where to find me. Okay. You guys know my social channels. Okay. Uh, it's so ridiculous. Sweet. That's it, guys. That's what I have for you today. That's how you profitably run your agency. That's how you are going to create profit. We don't hope for it, baby. We create it. Okay. And that's how we're going to increase those net profit margins. And it's going to feel so good. And this is what the other gurus just don't teach. Why? Because they just don't know it. They don't understand it. Okay. They're going to teach you this stuff up here, which is great. Hey, guys, we love it. We love the gurus out there that'll teach you the basics, but let's go a little deeper. Let's actually create profit within the agency. Okay. Good stuff. Questions, comments, concerns, epiphanies, takeaways. What do you guys got for me today? We got 7 minutes to answer questions. I need to know what you guys got for me today. Hit me. Whatever you guys got. We can come up here on the chat with me if you want to. We can bring you live. You can ask questions live, or you can drop them in the chat. Let me drop the stream. The stream link. You guys can ask some questions here. Perch, if you want to come make an appearance, I don't know if you're on mobile, you can join on mobile. But if you guys want to come and hang out for a second, we can jam on this. Whatever you guys need. Here as a resource. Was this good? Is this helpful for you guys? As you guys are asking questions, and if you guys want to join and click the link that I just dropped inside of the chat, couple things that need to be brought to your attention. Don't forget, we got Hydra Council coming up April 28th and 29th. If you guys want to come, scan the QR code in the top left. If you want more information on Hydra Council, we'd love to have you. It's for agency owners that are looking to profitably scale their agency operations. We got great speakers this year. We're talking a lot of like second in commands. We're talking to people that actually do the work within the agency for great agencies, right? And we're really excited for it this year. You guys will get great value from it. That's a guarantee. If you guys want to join our Facebook group, come hang out. Oh, here. Actually, I'll put it back up. If you guys need me to put the other QR code up, you can. I'll put it back up for you. But we have a Facebook group as well. If you guys are looking to get free game, just like you're getting free game today, we just do more free game inside of our Facebook group. You can find that there. Scan that boy. I saw someone scan the QR code for Hydra Council. Love that. And then as well as our Discord group. So if you're not a Facebook guy, if you're a young gun, if you're a cool cat, and you're like, Josh, Discord's the place to be. Well, we got one of those too. You can join our Discord group absolutely free. And we drop our free game that we drop in the Facebook group inside of the Discord group as well. So join up there. Places that you can find more information on us. Places that you can still learn from us. We'll go even deeper on those platforms. So we need a Kirch guest appearance. Agreed, man. Yeah, this needs to happen very soon. Very soon. We'll make it happen soon. You guys, what other questions do you have? Anything? Did I just explain it that well today? I just crushed it, knocked it out of the park. It doesn't have to be specifically on this. It can be on anything. Whatever you guys want to chat about, we're here. You got me for 4 more minutes. And if not, we can end early. But drop some questions. Matt, how we doing, baby? Hope you're doing well, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. Miss you. Moved to Nashville, and then all of a sudden, we stopped hanging out. We got to do cigars soon. I don't know if Christian is still here. Bo, you got any questions for me? Hey, if not, it's cool. Ooh, Lee Media. True. Like the stream. If you guys haven't hit the like button yet, hit the like button. It goes a long way with us. We need 9 likes? Yeah, we got 9 viewers. Got 9 viewers. We need 9 likes. Hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Would appreciate it. Trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by January, February, March, April, May, June. June. By June, we need to be at 2,000 subscribers. So tell your friends, tell your husband, tell your wife. Get people out here. Okay, we'll be back next week. We got another live stream next week. If this is valuable for you guys, would love to have you back next week as well. All right, I don't see any questions. Oh, 10K subscribers by July. I could only do it if you can help me, Matt. Maybe we need to get some cash flow architecture on the live stream at some point too. Tell people where to put their money. All right, fam. Thank you so much for being diligent today. Thank you for stopping by the stream. If you guys have questions, you know where to reach me, Joshi Kobayashi on Twitter or on Instagram. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have. If this is helpful, leave a like. Much love, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.